So thank you, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Thank you for joining, Lauren. Today is March 1st. Carly Connor, co-chair. I would like to, as the first order of business, approve the meetings from February 2nd. Can I get a...
I have a correction. My daughter's name is spelled Lexy, and I know that might be minor, but there's another Lexi, and it's not a good confusion.
Oh, it matters. So yeah, we'll fix that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Lexy. Thank you.
And Susan, you already had made the correction about what my motion was.
Yes, and we're going to discuss that and I did send it out. When I sent it to everyone, I sent it in the body of my message to also say that I had typed it wrong and to say what you had said. So it's not only in the new minutes, it was also in the body of the email when I sent the correction. So when we discuss it later, we can make that clear.
The edit to the minutes reflects that my motion was to meet on the every other Tuesday.
And that is what we actually approved.
Okay.
So if we want to do something different, we'll need to.
Exactly. But I will,
make a new motion.
talking about just the minutes, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. All right, great. Do I have a second?
Second.
Awesome. Okay.
Who made the motion?
Get down to business.
Tricia?
Oh, that was Sharice.
All right. Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, before we get down to business, I want to read our land acknowledgement statement, which was approved last night by the Select Board. The town of Chelmsford acknowledges that its land upon which the government buildings, town common, and libraries are situated is the traditional and ancestral territory of many diverse indigenous nations, and we strive to honor these peoples. We acknowledge the history of genocide and forced removal from this land, now known as Chelmsford, and we honor the indigenous peoples still connected to this land on which we live, work, and learn. This area comprises, in part, the homelands of the Pawtucket, Pennacook, and Abenaki, and their close neighbors, the Massachusetts and Nipmuc peoples. The town of Chelmsford extends our respect to citizens of these nations who live here and elsewhere today, and to their ancestors who have lived here for generations. Okay.
Nice.
So now we'd like to move on to committee business. The first thing on our agenda is a resignation announcement. And I received news that Joe Mason has resigned, and his last day working with the committee is this Friday. And it really just came down to he relocated with he and his family. He no longer lives close to Chelmsford and was finding it difficult with COVID and a number of other things to balance the amount of time that he would need to spend with the committee and make contributions and be with his family. So I think that we all agree that Joe made wonderful contributions to the committee. Sorry to lose him, and wish him well. Hopefully one day he has the time and may rejoin the committee. But it was announced last night at the select board meeting that there is an open seat for the committee. So if anyone knows of anyone who's interested, please have them apply. Does anybody have any questions?
Make a comment?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think it would be nice if we are going to, I know we don't make that decision, but I think it would be important because now our whole committee is all women, which is nice. Well, one guy, but I think that it would be nice, like, to even have someone of I know we had someone of Asian Asian. We had someone from India, but he didn't stay very long. So it would be nice to have someone, I don't know if you can suggest that, but I'm just saying, just to have some diversity, more diversity on the committee. That's just a thought.
Okay, well, I think the first step is asking how, Tricia, maybe you have some ideas on how we can promote or generate interest in people who may want to join the committee. aside from a mention at the select board meeting, what other ways can we get the word out there?
The diversity Facebook page, the DEI, sorry, my dog wants to go out. She's barking.
That's okay.
So I think our Facebook page would be the best way. Chelmsford News would be another way. I think personal outreach to people that we know would be another way.
Okay.
That's all I can think of.
Well, I will take on the task of announcing it on our Facebook page as well as on the town pages. And there's a link to an application. Right? There's an application on the website, town website, right? Okay. All right. So and when someone fills out an application, those go directly to the select board. Is that
They
correct?
do. They go to Christina Bruce in the town manager's office,
Town manager's office.
and she lists them on the agenda.
Okay. All right. Awesome. I will take that task. All right. The next line item on the agenda is finance report. So I'm sorry, Trisha, we lost you. We can't hear your voice.
Oh, you can't hear my voice? My
Well,
microphone.
now,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you were going out. You were.
I think my internet is very spotty since the renovation. So
Just
I'm
keep
sorry.
your head tilted this way.
Okay. Our balance as of today is $2,938.93. So we had the $2,500.
$2,938.93.
2938.93.
Thank you.
Yeah. So our balance from last month was $438.93, and then we had the $2,500 private anonymous donation. And we haven't received any receipts from the Black History Month, so the
Right.
bus
So,
hasn't been paid for. Bus has to come out of that.
Sharice, do you want to chime in here? You're muted, hon. You're muted.
Yes, so we have receipts. One of the things I want to say, we had a donation, and the donation was, I didn't write, wait a second, I'll give it to you. And I apologize, I wasn't expecting to give it so soon, but okay, so what we have is a donation from the Black History Month celebration for $673, which was amazing.
Very well.
And
Yay.
yes. And so our expenses totaled, without the bus, because that was something that was already allocated, the bus and the food, that was already kind of taken care of prior to the event. And so our expenses totaled $195.63, but I didn't think I added, the bus, I didn't add the bus in. And one of the things that we talked about was, of that $673, we really would like to donate $200 to Boston University Inner Strength Gospel Choir, as well as $100 to the NAACP. And we wanted to, get approval from the committee to get a agreement on that. And we have receipts for all of our expenses as well.
Yeah, and the food was $281.47.
Oh, right.
How much?
$281.47.
So that 195.63 was on top of the bus and the food.
Right.
There was 195.63 more than the bus and the food. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Right. If you shelled out money out of your own pocket, please submit to me an itemized detail of what your expenses are to be reimbursed, and all your receipts, and I will get those checks back to you.
Awesome. So one of the questions we had, like, I have a check for $200, and I believe it's made out to the town of Chelmsford. And I wanted to know, should we take that money from, like, okay, never mind.
You should deposit it and then issue a check for whatever we vote to issue a check for. Okay, so the $200 check, all donations should be deposited into the town of Chelmsford's EIC account. And then all receipts and all expenditures get paid out of that account. And then whatever we decide to do for the BU choir and the NAACP, again, those checks should come out. Okay, so
Okay.
just make sure everything gets deposited first.
And do they have to do W-9 forms as well?
That's my accountant that I have to ask.
Okay. Okay. Hopefully not, but anyway, okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, anything else on finance?
We can't do it unless we make a motion to do it and vote
Right.
on it.
Exactly.
The donations.
Right.
Oh, so
exactly.
we want to vote on that now? Okay, so can I get a vote from, should I just go around the room?
No,
Someone has to make a motion.
Therese, make the motion. You
I
make
would
the
I would like to make a motion that from the donations that we received from the Black History Month celebration of $673, that $200 of that money be allocated to Boston University's Inner Strength Gospel Choir, and $100 be donated to the Merrimack Valley's chapter of NAACP.
I second the motion. Can I?
Who
Yes.
just did that? Lauren?
Yeah.
That was Lauren.
Gotcha.
Now we do a roll call vote, Carly.
Okay, roll call vote. Trisha?
Aye.
Susan?
Yes.
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Rachel?
Yes.
Carly? Yes. And Sharice?
Oh, yes,
Okay, it's unanimous.
thank you.
Awesome.
Here's
All right.
The money.
Those are the withdrawals. Okay, so moving on from finance, the next order of business is logos. And I apologize in advance. Latasha sent this to me just before the meeting. So I'm going to share my screen and hope that you guys can see this, because it just, I haven't even had a chance to review these. And so I'm not even sure what the difference between these
Oh,
two
wow.
are. But here's the first. Oops.
Didn't she send these out via email to us a while ago, or was that just?
Tweaked.
Yeah,
They were
no, I think she
supposed to
did
be
these.
tweaked.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
these are
tweaked
tweaked.
these.
This is the
Tweaked.
second round.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I never
And-
saw that one with the cursive across it. So those must be
Right,
new.
this one's new.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is new. But it's really hard to, because I have to go back and I can't put them up side by side for you. That's the challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Here. So it's really hard to say which one you like the best when you can't look at them side by side. I don't know, maybe some of you can, but I kept toggling back and forth, and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I might.
Carly, if you open it in Google Docs and try to open it in a new tab, will it let us open the other one? And then
Google
we can
Docs never lets me open up documents. I'm going to try it right now. Let's see if it works. Well, see,
That did
this
not
is
work.
what
Wow,
happens.
that does not look good.
Well, no.
Alright.
Yeah, that's not going to work. That's the challenge. Google Docs does not seem to like opening up anything for me.
If this is the first time everybody else is seeing this, then we
I
can't.
think I should just
possibly even
forward it to
think that-
everyone.
Yeah.
I
we can't
think if
possibly have a
everyone can,
discussion. They haven't had.
yeah, I think if everyone can commit to responding, can we do that, Trisha, based on rules, or do we have
As
to wait
long
until
as
the
they
next
don't
meeting?
copy everybody, is you only send it to Latasha and Carly, and
Yep.
and yeah, just Latasha and Carly, your comments on which ones you prefer. Everybody now has it via email. I got this from Latasha a while ago, but I don't know why.
This is the tweaked one though. I mean, I
I
just,
know, this is, well,
yeah.
this is the second round. So no, I have the same
Right.
one and got it in an email like weeks ago.
Well, I don't think I got it.
I never got it.
okay.
So, yeah, so there's some great ideas in there that she took into consideration. On page 1, looking at the scale and the heart,
Right.
there was a conversation on the first round that we didn't want one color hand to be dominant over another. So I kind of thought it was neat the way she made them neutral colors of purple and green. So there was dominant color associated with it. So I liked, for it being a scale and hands, I liked the fact that the scale was a little bit more understated and that the hands were not,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a person of color and white. So I liked that first one in the upper left-hand corner of page 1 for that reason. I liked the lettering on the one on page 1 on the right, where
Oh,
the
on page 1.
lettering was on the outside of the circle. I don't know
Which
why.
number on page 1?
It's number 4. Number
Number 4. Okay, this one.
love the
Okay.
lettering outside the circle. So I'm only commenting because I've had a chance to look at these for a while and I made notes on them. So on page 1, those were my 2 comments, number 1 and number 4, when you're talking about the heart and the scale. And then on page 2, when we're talking
Well, I think
about,
they call it page 3 on this one for some reason.
mine says page 2, so, but it's got the same picture as yours. But it
Okay,
says
yeah,
page-
but when, oh, okay, it says W3, round 3. Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
So it is page 2.
Yeah, I only
Okay.
got 2 pages from her. And on the second page, when you're talking about the hands and the dove, let's see, the one I liked number 4, because I thought it
Me
was number
too.
4 was more subtle.
Yes.
But there was a conversation about liking that really heavy border, but to me that took away from the uplifting aspect of the bird and the wings and all of that stuff, having that heavy border around the bird, around that, dove of peace kind of thing. So
Mhm.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Tricia. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, so and also I didn't like the script equity over the dove. So for the dove and the hands, I liked number 4. And for the scale and the hands, I liked 1 with the color of the hands and 4 with the lettering on paper. Those are my comments.
Yeah, I like number 4, but what we had talked about on one of those pictures was, the color, the rainbow, like we thought we could, on the birds' feathers,
Mhm.
to incorporate the LGBTQA,
Right. Rainbow
color.
fingers.
Rainbow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Here's
thought,
the only thing. How can you then incorporate like people with disabilities or, so I just don't want to go so that it's so busy. It's not recognizable. I like the idea, but then, you've got race and you've got LGBTQA+, but then where's the people with disabilities? Where's every other marginalized group? So how can you show some and not all? So logos are supposed to be simplistic and easily
Right.
recognizable.
Mhm.
So I just am afraid about getting too,
Yeah.
what is the message? Is our message, it depends.
The wording itself, our title, diversity, equity, and inclusion should speak it all. That's what and to your point, it is simplified, and the more we can simplify, because if it gets too busy, then it's distracting.
Mhm.
The only thing that I'll add to that though, on that point of LGBTQ, I think that one on slide 1,
Yeah.
almost, I mean, if you change the color of Chelmsford to yellow and you change the word together to what other color, like a red or whatever, it gets close to that rainbow kind of effect.
Yellow will not show up and it will not print well. And you have to also have a logo that's going to print well in black and white and color. So yellow
But the
is
fact that it's purple and green means it's not just race. It just means
Right.
2 different people coming together. So that can represent anyone from any group.
right. Now, if you wanted to make, I mean, I don't, yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying about bringing in the rainbow colors, but the fact that green and purple are, they're just different than everything else. It's not blue for autism, and it's not rainbow, and it's not black, and it's not white.
It could represent anyone.
It could represent
Yeah.
anyone.
Well, we
And
can just
can I
send
just
it to
mention,
everybody.
what's that?
We're gonna send it to everyone, right? So we can look at it.
And
Yeah,
I
I'll
do want to
forward it out
mention
to everyone.
something no one mentioned today again, which I still like the idea of the scales of justice. And I like that in that first one with purple and green, they're subtle, but they're there because we don't want to forget that we're not just spreading culture and peace, but we're also trying to deal with social justice issues and making sure things are equitable. So
I
I
like
like
I
the
agree.
one a lot.
scales, and I like that they're
one a lot.
subtle in that picture.
Yep. I like
Yeah.
number one a lot.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm just
I do
throwing it
too.
out there.
So
So
then, do you like the lettering in number 1 or the lettering in number 4 better? Do you like it inside or outside the circle?
I think it's more legible in number one. I think
so
I
too.
in number 4, I have a hard time reading it.
Me
It
too.
could be because it needs bolder. It just needs to be bolded.
I like the bold in number 1.
Yeah.
I want to add that I really like page 2, 4, the really simplistic dove one.
Yeah, that's my other choice too.
That is just, it really, I feel like it catches an essence while keeping it really simple. And so I think that that may work in a lot of the cases, and especially aesthetically. So that's my top vote. When we look at other things, I do like the scales. I like what that symbolizes. I think it just gets a little bit busy. But if I had to pick a runner-up, I think I would pick 1 or 4 on page 1.
I personally agree with you, Rachel. I think the idea of lifting people up, and the word equity is in there, just like the word inclusion is in there and diversity is in there. And I think that when you're looking at scales, sometimes you don't want it to look like a legal thing.
You don't have to look like court, right?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
True.
Good point.
That's a good point.
Mhm.
I do like that one. The second, I don't know what number it was, this other page, the dove on the top right. I like that one.
Yeah.
Mhm. Me
4.
too.
That's my favorite one. too.
Yes, I like that one. So we can either keep looking at it and get back to it, or we can,
Yeah, can we make a commitment though to respond to Latasha and I by next Friday at the latest?
and
Yes.
so, but someone will send that to us because I don't
I will
have it.
send
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
By Friday, like in the end of this week, Friday,
So next Friday should be fine. I'm going to give you guys a reasonable
the
amount of
10th.
time. As long as,
That
when we come back together in the next meeting, we have a decision,
Okay,
we
so
can
that
come
would
to
be
a con-
Friday the 11th.
Friday the 11th.
Okay.
All right.
Mm.
Are we good on that?
Yeah, I liked number 2, but I would take out the word equity only because I think personally the border helps it pop. But
Number
that's
2
me.
on slide 1.
Well, you know what? It's just like I'm thinking it on a button and I want it to pop. That's all. I suppose the background of the button. That's all. I'm good. Move on. Sorry.
Okay. No, not at all. Send it out and you guys can, let me
Thanks,
know
Carl.
by
Yeah.
the 11th. Okay.
Yeah.
And I would
All right.
advise we print it on a piece of paper to see how it looks on
Thank
stage.
you. Yeah. Smart.
Yeah. And if anyone is concerned about making sure that the one that they really do like is the one, just snip a photo of and send it that way as well.
Okay.
You can indicate the slide number and the number, but if you want to include the picture as well, that's fine. Okay. So moving on to the next item on the agenda, education requirement reminder. So we have some work to do, the committee as a whole. I think, Tricia, maybe you wouldn't mind just briefing us on this requirement, or you don't have, okay, so I will
don't
do the best
even
that I
know
can, because
this is
Natasha
referring
sent
to.
this over to me and I was like, oh, okay. So let me just get to that. Hold on one second. Okay. So there is an action required on our part the town requires all municipal employees to learn about conflict of interest laws. There is a brief tutorial that we have to take, and there is also a document that we must sign, and this must be completed by April 8th. So all committees and groups under the town, the participants of those committees and groups have to adhere to this requirement. So I'm going to, I don't think, did any of you receive this already from Latasha?
We got this a while ago. It's about
Okay, I
the
wasn't sure.
annual,
December.
the annual
I send it to
certificate.
all boards and committees in December every year.
You did.
And every year you have to just sign the acknowledgement forms that you've received it from me. That's all that's required. There's 2 acknowledgements, one for the conflict of interest and one is for the open meeting law. So you just say, yes, I received it. Thank you very much. Here they are. And then every 2 years, you have to take the conflict of interest training. So I don't know. I have not checked to see who on our committee is due for conflict of interest training, but I believe everybody took it at the beginning when they were first appointed in September of 2020. So that it's a 2-year commitment. So we wouldn't be due if we did it all September 2020, and we wouldn't be due until September of 2022. I will make sure I go and look in everybody's files, find out I've gotten 2022 acknowledgements from, and who I haven't, and who's done their conflict of interest training and who hasn't. And I will send individual emails to everybody. But I didn't know this was going to be on there, or this is what it was about.
Okay.
I do it every year in the school system anyway,
Right.
every year.
Yeah.
So I'm
You're
probably
covered.
in there. Yeah.
But
thanks.
each group needs its own sign off, I think, Lauren. I'm not
Really?
positive.
Oh,
Well, no, I mean, honestly, the school's responsible to sign, as long as I don't need redundant files. I mean, acknowledgements that you've received the open meeting law and you've received the conflict of interest information is all I care about. My responsibility is to send it to you. Your responsibility is to go, yay, I got it. And then the training is every 2 years. So I will touch base with each of you individually and see.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, so I don't need to forward this to everyone?
No.
Okay, thank you, Tricia.
You're welcome.
All right. Moving on in the agenda. Let me just time check here. Okay, we're doing great on time. Request for listening sessions. So Maura, thank you so much for your patience. We have Maura Snow here with us. She's the founder and senior consultant in HR leadership and for HR leadership and development for Great Brook. And she is going to speak to us about this listening session. So Maura, I'll turn it over to you. Maura, you're muted.
Here we go. Am I unmuted?
There we go. Yeah, there
Can
you
hear
are.
me? All right,
Yes.
thank you. I'm not as familiar with Teams. I will share a story that I will make as brief as I possibly can regarding a listening session for the LGBTQ community that a member of the select board requested that this listening session be taken care of by the diversity committee, and Latasha and Virginia and I from the we just had a quick one-off meeting, and Latasha said, you know, if there's going to be a listening session, it needs to be the select board that listens. And Virginia wanted somehow the diversity committee to organize this listening session. Let me give you a bit of background. 2019, the board released its first ever statement that LGBTQ month is June. I knew it was coming, brought a bunch of people with pride flags. We all cheered. I stood up and I said, hey, if any town building would like to fly a pride flag, I will give you one. 9 buildings requested flags, all the schools, the senior center, the Center for the Arts, and that other place. Anyway, so the only ones that actually flew, so the Center for the Arts wanted to fly their flags outside on stanchions. So Susan Gates and I were meeting. We asked Paul Cohen via email, Paul, would it be okay to put rainbow flags for the month of June on the Arts Center in some flag stanchions that are already on the building but are not in use by other flags? Paul Cohen said yes, we put them up there. LGBTQ community was delighted. Susan Gates got some nasty calls from community members saying, don't want to see that flag flying. Board members got some nasty calls saying, how dare you be trying to replace the American flag, or whatever it was. There was some nastiness that came to board members. But the flag flew through the month of June. Kids getting their prom pictures went over and posed with it, and it was
that's awesome.
very well received by most of the community. But at some point, and this is hearsay, I heard from a person who was on the board at the time that people who are opposed to abortion said, look, if you're going to fly those pride flags, then you have to fly an anti-abortion flag with a picture of an aborted fetus on it. And the board said, well, let us look into that. I knew that this was coming up. I emailed all of the board and I said, what if you make it that, as I offered, if any building in the town wants to fly a flag that has a flag that is known nation and worldwide, that has a month that is dedicated to that cause and is recognized at the worldwide, national, state, and local level, that if buildings want to fly that flag, they can. And if they don't want to, it's fine, leave it up to the buildings. And I said, maybe you could have some language like that, and thought that they might come up with language like that. But in September of 2019, very, very late at night, the board voted to only government flags can fly on government buildings, nothing else. And that negated the pride flag being flown. And the only place it flew outdoors was at the senior center and at the Center for the Arts. So that got them off the hook for that. I and a few other people raised a lot of complaints. We called the papers responded. The next month when we could, there was a hearing. I had lots of people with pride flags saying, please, just come up. You don't use that rule. It's a policy. You guys created it. You could change it. This is discriminatory. People felt so great when they saw flags on the Center for the Arts. And now we feel less great because, if you're going to make a proclamation that says you're welcoming, why not do this with the flags? But the board felt, nope, they really wanted to stick with we only fly government flags. So the only year they actually flew on the Center for the Arts was 2019. In 2020, when they presented the proclamation again, Patrick Snow, openly gay town meeting representative Patrick Snow, received the flag and said thank you. In 2021, instead of just saying thank you, we started talking about how much it meant to everybody to have flags on the building, and please could this happen again? And it got a little impassioned, and it got impassioned at a time in the meeting that was not for public comment. The time of the meeting was just, we read the proclamation, somebody receives it, don't everybody come to the microphone and talk. But people did come to the microphone and talk, and they were upset that pride flags were not allowed on government buildings. Of course, anybody can fly any flag anywhere in their own property, and businesses can as well. But the board really took exception to what happened at the proclamation meeting in May of 2021. And Virginia Timmons from the board, I had reached, she came to me very, very upset. People at her church were yelling at her, calling her discriminatory because she had voted to allow only government flags on government buildings. And she felt like all of this was blown way out of proportion, and that the LGBTQ community, and especially me, had given, and I am the mother of said openly gay town meeting representative, that's where I fall into all of this. She had really taken serious offense. So she and I sat down and we had coffee, and she told me everything that was troubling her. And I said, that really hurts. I understand that you are really hurt by this. That must make you feel terrible. But the community would like to be heard. And she said, the board does not want anything to do with you right now. And this was summer of 2021. 2022. What year is it? It's 20 years. Yes, this past summer. So she and I met, and she said, but maybe we'd do a listening committee. So I said, just this past week, I haven't heard anything. It's coming towards May when they issue the proclamation. I said, hey, board, are you going to do a listening committee? And the answer from the board was, oh, we thought Pat Wojcik was covering this with the diversity committee, but apparently it's not covered. And she wanted to punt it to Latasha to have, I'm sorry to be so lengthy here, to have this board do a listening committee. Latasha said, no, the select board should do the listening committee. And Virginia said, the select board will do a listening committee as long as you don't say anything about flags. I'm like, okay, well, We really don't have
Well,
anything
what
else
would
to
be the
say.
point of doing that? I don't.
She-
So
We have
this is raising
listening
like so many
requires
questions.
listening.
Yeah.
And what
So
would we be listening about?
yeah. So
If not
that's my
flags.
first question is, the listening. What is the intention behind the listening committee? What is the desired outcome from?
Is it a
So-
listening committee or a listening session that you're looking for?
Thank you for the clarification. I wasn't looking for anything other than politely and passionately requesting that they change that policy and let any building that wants to fly a flag, fly a flag. Virginia suggested the LGBTQ issues be rolled in under the diversity committee, which I think is, I mean, you do that anyway. And B, she said, maybe we should do a listening session. And I said, oh yeah, that might be helpful. And so because that was last summer and because this summer is coming, I emailed the entire select board to say, hey, Virginia and I talked about maybe doing a listening session. I'm sorry, I'm using the wrong language. And so she asked about it at a board meeting and they said, well, Pat Wojcik was supposed to take that to the diversity committee and it needs to go to the diversity committee and they could do this, but we don't want to hear any more about flags. We've made our decision and stop complaining about flags. Like,
So that's
okay,
where my question is. So if we have a listening session,
yeah,
we're the diversity, equity, and inclusion committee. We're 100% behind what you're saying.
I
I
know.
mean, I'm sorry if I'm speaking for everyone else, but it just seems to me that you're not going to get any argument from us. So what are we supposed to do once we listen? I mean, we can talk
I know.
about this all day, but I guess what is the action that we need to take? Do we go before the select board and then say we
It
want a
takes the
flag, although
onus
they've
off
already
of it.
told you? I
What's
I
that?
get it. I'm
Or
just
are we
trying to
opening a
tease out
listening session
what
up to
they
the
expect.
public?
Well,
Hang on a
yeah,
second.
yeah.
I just want to understand what action we're expected to take. If that's what Virginia wants, what is she expecting us to do once we listen and we have
I
this
don't-
listening session?
Well,
Uh,
Natasha said this board is not going to do a listening session. The select board needs to do it. And I believe what Virginia was saying is, well, can the diversity committee organize it? And I said to both of them,
volunteer.
I don't want to make any more work for the diversity committee. I mean, I'm happy to organize
volunteer.
it, but if you don't want to
It's
hear
not
about
more work
flags,
for
that's
us.
This is
fine.
what we do, Maura.
This is what
Yeah.
we
This
do.
is why
And
we
Maura,
exist.
if you guys want to set up a listening session with the select board, we will make it happen. Period.
Yeah.
End of story. We will make it happen. I mean, they can't not listen to the public. They,
Right.
that's
But
what they
what
have
they
to do.
told,
And we will organize a date and time, and we'll work with the town manager's office, get a date and time that works for the select board. And whether it's via Zoom like they did for the Black Lives Matter listening session, we will do the same thing. But you round up the people once we know the date and get the testimony. And again, it's more than just about a flag. I mean, they've protected themselves by this little flag bylaw. And that's one aspect. That's one thing. There's a lot of other things we can do besides flags. Now, granted, to change a bylaw only requires the signatures of 10 people on a warrant article. I
I
mean,
need to
granted, it's
interrupt.
selectmen's policy, so it's
It is
different.
not a bylaw. It is not a bylaw. It is a policy. The select board created this policy. It is not a bylaw. It is a policy. The select board created it. I think they could undo it if they wanted to.
Therese has her hand up.
Therese?
So this is the thing. Does it have to be like the common area, right? Is that free public place where flags can fly? Because I'm just
I don't
saying,
know.
because I think that's the same thing happened with Black Lives Matter and a whole bunch of other flags. And it's one of those things, and I don't have, I mean, and I would ask the question, are there other flags in other towns that are flying on federal or public buildings? And that's, something that we could use as, support, knowing that other surrounding towns may be doing the same thing, and what kind of bylaws or things like that they have. It's always good to, and I don't know that they do, because, and I don't even know, in Washington, do they, I don't know if it's something about the protection of historical buildings, about any kind of flag, because I do know there was something that they couldn't do flag, like even when Black Lives Matter wanted to fly flags, that was prohibited. So I just think we need to
That came
first
out.
and foremost understand the policy and look at it and see what it says and know what it's saying about flags in general. But I think the select board is passing the buck, and they need to be responsible for, at least listening to the public. What's wrong with listening?
I mean, I can understand the point of that you have to have specific criteria, and more, you mentioned some specific criteria that
Yeah.
I think would limit everybody under the sun from asking for the same thing.
Yeah.
So, if they can be convinced to look at some specific criteria on which they might allow, maybe not every building, but
Right.
certain places. I mean,
Well-
I don't think that on the common where there's only the 3 flagpoles, the American flag, the POW flag, and the state flag, I don't know that that's ever going to change.
No.
But but I mean, they, again, listening to the public is what they do. Let the public speak and
Well,
take action from there.
What Virginia said to me and Latasha was, you can't talk about flags. So they're happy with the public telling them, here are the issues we face as LGBTQ plus people in Chelmsford. But I don't, and what was asked of me was in advance of this meeting, find out what the LGBTQ community, what concerns they have that they might like the select board to listen to. And I've checked in with a few people. Pat stopped at the senior center. But the issue we have is we feel like the select board wrote a policy for itself such that no town buildings could fly pride flags at any time. And we wish they hadn't done that. And we would like them to undo it because it wasn't written with a warrant article. It was just a policy that they wrote and signed in September of 2019 at the end of their meeting at like 11 o'clock at night.
I mean, there's other people with hands up, but Maura, can you
Sorry.
also think about alternative plans? What else can we do? Like put
Yeah.
up temporary flagpoles, things like that. But Rachel's had her hand up for a while, and so is Susan.
So there's 2 points that I want to make. First, I know that other towns, especially in June, have done pride flag raising ceremonies and things like that. So I do think that that's an appropriate town or city action that I've seen in other communities. So I think gathering that information is fairly easy to show a precedent, especially, a nationally recognized flag and event. The second piece that's jumping out to me around having a listening session with the select board, with the LGBT community, someone who's, I've lived here for a few years. I think the only thing that the select board has done that directly, like, as an LGBTQ woman, that is like a direct correlation, is made this policy about flags that was a direct hit on that. So when you ask me to listen, I'm going to say, hey, that thing that you directly made a policy about that impacted me is the thing I want to talk about, because you haven't done anything else for the community or against it. So I don't have much else to say. And so it gets into this weird spot. Like, if you were doing other things to really support the community, we could talk about that, and we wanted to pivot or do something, but I don't have those topics, and I
The
don't
select
know
board
of any
can't
other
tell us
topics.
not to talk about flags, right? In a listening session, they can't
Well,
instruct
freedom of
people.
speech, Carly. It's freedom of
Right.
speech.
Yeah, they can't.
Mhm.
So I think we just
Listening
take that
session.
off the table and we're going to talk about flags.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
if we're gonna have a listening session for LGBTQ concerns, whatever those concerns are, they need to listen.
Yeah.
And they cannot restrict the communication of those people, whatever it is. That's freedom of speech. So, I mean, they can decide that they don't want to have a listening session if that's going to be on the table. That's their prerogative. But again, is that really being inclusive if that's what they're going to do? So it's their choice.
Yeah, and my request was, if possible, could it be before the end of May? Because the last select board meeting in May is when they read the proclamation that June is Pride Month. I thought, well, it'd be nice if you could listen before then. But honestly, if they could just get it on at some point, I just felt like I was told by Virginia, you can have a listening session, but we're not talking about flags. I'm like, huh. Huh.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Susan, you've had your hand up for a while. I'm sorry.
So, yeah, I have a lot of questions about it. So what would the DEIC do? Just facilitate this, organize it? I mean, and who has to listen? The select board has to listen, but we would be the ones who would reach out and let the public know that this was happening?
I think
Okay.
so.
So we could just say it's about any issues and concerns having to do with LGBTQ community. They can't tell people who get up to speak that they can't mention the word flag, can they?
We just said that. No, they cannot.
Select board doesn't have to do anything about it just because they hear someone say it, but how can they stop someone from saying that?
They can't.
And we shouldn't advertise that it's about the flag. We should say it's about issues and concerns.
Right. We're not going to bring up about the flag. We're going to bring up that it's a listening session for the LGBTQ community, and whatever the LGBTQ community has it as an issue is going to get brought up, and they will.
Or any allies of the community, anyone can,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And
I
they can
think what
say
they,
whatever they want that they think they would like to see this town do. It may or may not be display the flag.
I'd
And
like
that
to
is,
see other issues and other things being brought up and discussed, and ideas that we can explore on how we can be more inclusive and more welcoming.
right.
And,
So we won't
and
advertise it about
have
flags,
the
but
full
certainly
people that
chances
have.
are someone is going to mention flags.
I
Well,
think,
yeah, let's
I
drop
think
that because
the
that's
way
just
they want, the way they want to manage that with the flags is once one person has said it, then it's done. They'll say, oh, okay, we've already heard about flags, so no one else talk about flags because that has already been covered by that person.
They really can't do that. They really can't. It's a listening session. They have to just listen.
just listen. They need to
Yeah.
listen.
Right.
Take whatever action they want to take after the fact. But if we're going to organize a listening session, it cannot be censored. They have to listen. And so they can
You know
choose not
what's
to have it, or they can listen. Well, that's their choice.
What's interesting is when you have that public part of the select board meeting, they can't interact with you, right? They have to listen.
Right.
Correct.
So
Exactly.
it's, you know what I mean? So at that point, it's like they still can come on a select board meeting and present the agenda, and there's nothing they can say, but they can hear it, and it's a public forum. That's another opportunity to have them listen because they have to listen. They can't interact or engage. So it's no different if you have a listening session. You don't have to say anything if you don't choose to. It's the democracy that we live in. So
Mhm.
I think that,
Yep.
Well,
either way,
Yep.
you can still do the.
Again, I'm very eager to help organize
Yeah.
this listening
So
session.
so in the interest of time, it's
Yeah.
7:51 and we still have a lot on the agenda. So
I'm
Okay.
can we
sorry.
just no, this is fine. But I just want to make sure that we have owners and tasks and next steps on this. So you said that you wanted to get on the select board's calendar before May,
Before
right?
the
So
end of
maybe
May.
before the end of May, but what would, ideally April or
No,
beginning
let's
of May?
Actually, probably after the April election, so
Oh,
we
okay.
know
So
who's on the
Tricia,
board.
yeah.
Can I just ask that we do it after town meeting as well? I mean, it's just April's crazy. If we do
Yeah.
it the beginning of May, would that be okay?
As
Beginning
long
to
as it's before the last Monday as long as it's before the Monday in May when they read the proclamation. And the other piece is we have gone and spoken to them at public meetings in the public meeting session and brought up the issue of how much we wish they could change that rule that they made. And I proactively knew that was happening and invited the press, and Chelmsford has gotten bad press in the Boston Globe and the Lowell Sun because of their stand, and the board is tired of being harangued about it. So that's what comes
it
back to
takes
me.
a different board. So, I mean,
Right.
you want the select board thing to change then.
Yes.
People
Yeah.
still have a right to
Okay.
speak about it, and
Yeah.
they have a right to bring it up every year.
And they
And-
suggested the listening session, so they're going to get a listening session.
Well, Virginia
That's
suggested it to me,
All
and
right.
I
Right.
told the
Make
whole
sure
board.
I get back to you with a date within the next 2 weeks. Okay.
That sounds wonderful.
And so along with that, you would like our committee to help promote this listening session. So once Tricia has a date, we will promote it the way that we normally promote things.
Yep,
Okay.
on the town website, and the
Through
select
our
board.
resident engagement group. We can do it through our resident engagement group, which
Mm.
I'm also going to volunteer to put myself on.
Awesome. I'll add you today.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
And I'm happy to do whatever needs to be done as well, so. But thank you for
Thank
all the
you.
time I spent telling that story. I try
That
to
was a
keep it,
good story.
I think, yeah,
It
the
was
history
good
is important.
context, more. Thank you.
Yeah.
You can also say bunting and banner and little banners. We don't have to say the word flag, but there's a
We
lot of
won't say the
synonyms.
F word.
There are a lot of synonyms for
And
keep bringing this up and I might.
fly the bunting, fly the bunting.
Anyway, we do need to
Okay.
move on because it is late.
Yeah,
and
we have to-
we're not even- we gotta get to
all
4.
right. So
All right,
thank you. Thank you, Tricia, for taking that action item. And thank you, Maura, so much for bringing this to us. We're happy to help.
We back it. We back this. I think you can
Yeah.
tell.
And thank you for your help. I know you're getting ready to leave and we're segmenting into the Black History Working Group. And I want to thank you so much on behalf of our working group on setting up Eventbrite. And that was just brilliant. And it was
Absolutely.
so helpful. So
Happy to help anytime. Just let me know. Boots on the ground, and I'm happy to help. So, and thank you so much for listening. All right.
All
Well, I
right,
think
then.
you have my email. You know where to find me, most of you. And
Sure do.
okay. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Maura. Good
I will
seeing you.
leave you to your meeting as soon as I find the exit button.
Okay, no worries.
Oh, there it is. I think it's the hang
All
up.
right.
Okay.
Bye-bye. So we're going to move on now to the working group updates, and we're going to start with Black History Month. And I think, Charisse, you should take the lead on this.
well, first of all, it was just the whole month of February was amazing. And working with Carly and Susan was just a delight. It was all a labor of love. And I think what made it so smooth was the fact that we had a 6-month lead time. And you really need that when you're involving artists and performers and trying to secure buses and all of those things. It is so important to have those things in place ahead of time. So that was great. We had many learnings along the way, especially when it came to media. And some things were just coming at us, which was such a blessing. And um, and we divided up just high level and getting through it quickly. We had divided up in 3 areas, and one social media, which Carly took lead on social media, and that involved. I don't know if you want to talk about it, Carly.
I'll
Facebook.
talk about it with when I
Okay.
get to the outreach.
Okay, and then artist exhibition was Susan, and I was doing the production of the a concert at the CCA, and it all just blended in very well. We had a nice turnout. We had 82 people who signed up for Eventbrite, and we had almost 100 people uh, come into the space. So it was really nice. We had a cellist, a soloist. We had a CHS alum, poetry. You know all that, all the people who were there. And the highlight was Boston University Inner Strength Gospel Choir. They had such a great time, and they are willing to come back. Some people even were asking if they could be on the program next year. Some people were asking about Juneteenth. So it really generated a lot of great buzz, and the people loved it, and they said it was spirited and very engaging, and they really, matter of fact, one of our workers who was a stage manager for the CCA got so involved. I think he forgot that he was the stage manager. And thank you, Lauren Cochran, for Shay and Grace. They were amazing. They had to shift what they were doing in different areas, and they did that beautifully. You've trained them well, even though they didn't have the stage manager. No, it was excellent.
Thank you.
And it was just a great showing. And there was a lot. We met after the select board, and Susan did a great job giving the select board an overview of the working groups and how we managed and what happened. The only thing we didn't mention, and I was going to say something, but she did such a great job. I said that was little potatoes as far as the number of people, and just asking them, where were they? That's what I would have wanted to ask. Like, where were you? But we'll get
Yeah.
there. And I'll let and then we had telemedia. We have it on YouTube. We had to pull it for a minute. It still may be out there because names were spelled wrong, titles weren't listed correctly. There was some things that just needs to be tweaked before it really goes out to the general public. Even though it's out there, we're hoping we can get that fixed before it really sends out to other places. Eagle Independent was excellent. Margaret Smith. Daisy came in with Lowell Sun. We're going to have a whole full front page ad coming up. She said April 3rd, but that seems far off. I'm thinking March 3rd, but I don't know the actual date. She does have it on her Facebook page, which is really nice layout. Trisha has a nice little picture in there, of the event. And it was just wonderful. And I'll let Carly speak about her piece, and we're going to all come together and put a document together because we think it's important if
Playbook.
someone comes behind us. Pardon?
A playbook. We're going to have
A
a playbook
playbook, so that when
so that
someone
it's
comes
repeatable.
behind us, they'll know all the steps we took, the things we learned along the way. And because it's something I hope that will continue. And we also will put in the funding that we feel that would be necessary, because the CCA is going to be, Susan is going to leave. We don't know if we will have that space for free again. And so we just want to make sure we have enough budgeting to make that happen. And artists may charge, we don't know. But I'll let Carly talk about that piece on her piece on the Watch It Wednesday and the social media.
Okay, so I'll touch on Watch It Wednesday and then move to social media further down in the agenda, knowing that it's associated with the Black History Month. But Watch It Wednesday, we featured 2 films for Black History Month. The first was a film called 13th, a documentary, which Brian Petro-Roy moderated. He joined the call, and that was a film that he had selected. Very powerful film. And I think we had about 10 people at that Watch It Wednesday. And then the second film was I Am Not Your Negro, and that film was selected by Sharice, I believe, right? Did you select that? Or
No,
who
Lexi,
selected
my
it?
daughter Lexi selected that one. That was her
Oh, okay, Lexi
suggestion.
selected that. Okay. And Lexi was the moderator for that film. Now, interestingly, we found out after the fact, we found out yesterday, there were some technical problems that night for that screening. We had on the call, I think, 12 or 14 people, and they could not get the film to run. And we sat there for about a half an hour. I tried to stream it from my Netflix account, but they prevent you from streaming it to other people. And apparently Canopy switched their subscription rules, and they were not aware of that at the library when they were trying to screen the film. So it was a hot mess. But Lexi is unbelievable. She is a wonderful public speaker. She is so cool, calm, and collected. And let's just say that no one left hungry. She started a conversation as if she said, you know what brought you here? And this was one of the best starting lines for having the discussion. Because I've always said, Watch It Wednesdays, the moderation piece of it, it's like a book club. If you've ever belonged to a book club, you get into these really great discussions about what emotions were, what were you feeling when you saw this? And Lexi really did a great job of setting the table and telling people, okay, I want you to breathe before you watch this film. I want you to know how you're feeling right now before you start watching this film. I want you to be aware of how your breathing changes and how you're feeling as you watch this film. But since we didn't watch the film, she said, all right, without missing a beat, she said, what made you decide to come watch this film tonight? And so there was one person in the audience who said, well, I have to tell you, I never really thought about any of this stuff before. I was in my world and I never really thought about anything. It was a middle-aged woman. And she said there was an event that occurred in Westford. that was, racially motivated event. And it really just struck her. She said, I was compelled to come and watch this film because I want to understand. I wanted to do something. And so that started the conversation. And that conversation with all of those people went on for what, like an hour plus? we,
Yeah.
we were actually apologizing to the library because we're like, okay, we know we're really running over time, but everyone's really enjoying having this conversation. So we just went with it. And people were sharing and expressing their thoughts and their feelings. And, it was cathartic, but it was also, it was educational for everyone who was on the call. Everybody walked away with something. I always walk away with something when I watch these films and moderate them. But I feel like everybody walked away with something and they never even saw the film. It's just, a great testament to, Lexi and her ability to engage an audience. So, kudos to Lexi. But we're going to reschedule that film because people want to see it. So I'm going to try to get it into the March timeline and what I had planned for April. And thank you to all those folks who have recommended films. I'm going to push everything out just a month so that we can rescreen that film. So that's it for Black History Month on that piece. And I'm going to turn it back to Sharice or to Susan to talk about. Sharice, you want
Susan?
Susan to talk?
Yeah.
I mean, my piece was pretty basic. I think you all know that I was able to connect with Jeff Hartman at the library, and we were able to successfully reach out to quite a few artists in the area. And I think there were 8 local artists who were able to display their work there, and they were thrilled to have a place to show their work and keep it up for a month where people can see it. They were
It was
really
beautiful.
thrilled to do it. It was really nice. I thought it looked beautiful. It was in the working big meeting area. There were a couple pieces in the lobby. There were a couple pieces along the lending area back where the videos and all are, if you know the library setup. And then artists were also invited, if they were able to or interested, to bring their artwork over to the CCA on Sunday. And 2 of the artists did that and had it displayed there in the lobby. And we're really, really happy. I know they actually sold a couple of pieces, and that wasn't even the intention, but
I
it
saw
worked out.
people walking out with pieces, and I was
Yes.
wondering
Yeah.
about that. That's awesome.
Yeah, people who saw the work, talked to the artist, bought it, even though that it was not meant to be a sale at all, but it worked out well for them. So
That's
um,
amazing.
they were really happy to be able to share their work and have a free gallery showing.
Yeah. And it was nice for the town to come up and show up and just be a part of a great celebration. It was really nice. I'm sorry, Susan, I didn't mean
Yeah.
to cut you.
No, that was it.
Yeah. And so we'll have part 2 with the book playbook.
Yes.
Thank you for all of you who showed up and came out. And thank you to, again, Susan Gates and the CCA for allowing us to have the venue there. It was nice. Very nice. Well
Yeah.
attended.
And well done to you, Sharice, for being the leader of the team and getting this done. Good job. Great job.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you
Okay.
all.
Okay. We're going to move on to Women's History Month. And who is the leader of that group? Is it Latasha or?
It's Latasha.
Okay, she's out.
Yeah. But Rachel, could you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give an overview. So we basically, Latasha wrote like an opening piece, which I pushed out today on Facebook. We have 3 follow-up sections where we're gonna look at 3 categories of women in Chelmsford recent history. The first is community leaders. That list is complete. I'll push that out next week, next Monday. And then we have business owners and senior population folks, I think. And so we'll continue. We'll do it kind of weekly throughout the month to spread that. So moving along well. And this builds upon, again, right? Like last year, we had done a few, so we included those. It's all the stuff that as we continue to grow as a committee and have done things, it's like you can just kind of pull from bits that you had in the past and move it forward. So continuing to move forward with that.
So Rachel, are you guys looking for content to include throughout the month? I mean, if we, as members of the committee, see something that we think is relevant to Women's History Month, should we forward it to you and Latasha for
So we weren't,
consideration? I'm not sure.
I think we definitely can add additional things. I think for kind of this original idea Latasha had of this, I don't know if you read the post, was kind of like a hero theme. Like we're going to spotlight these women. I think we've kind of narrowed that down and we have those. I think, you know, if you happen to know like a woman business owner that you'd want to add into that, like we're still finalizing that list in the senior.
Yeah, I provided her with a name. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. I think we're wrapping that up and doing that. So that'll be kind of that main theme throughout the month. But if we have other things that we want to post throughout the month, I think that can definitely be augmented as well.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add to, so we talked about last year, we did all women in history, like historical figures that have passed, that have contributed to Chelmsford in its past tense. This year, we're focusing on women making history. And then next year, we thought we would focus on women that will impact history over time. So it's almost like just a building on what we initially did last year. So,
And that's what we talked
some of the
about
people
last
have
year.
passed this year. I'm sorry?
I said that was what we had talked about last year, right?
Yeah.
As far as how we were going to chronicle the women. And so who's on your working group?
It's Rachel, myself, and Latasha.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is there anything more on Women's History Month?
That's it.
I just want to
All
remind
right.
Sharice and Trisha of Ruby Emery because I remembered the name and I just want to brag that I remembered the
Thank
name.
you, Ruby Emery. Yes, and as a matter of fact, I have to pass that information on to Rachel.
The woman that owned the coffee, you know, the Millhouse Coffee.
Millhouse
First
Coffee.
owner, she owned several properties, but
I took a picture of that article that the owner gave me.
Okay.
So I'll forward
Where
that.
did I just read about that? Someone put it on something on Facebook. They must have. I just read a lot about that.
Oh.
Maybe Tom Cristiano put it on one of his,
Yeah.
he puts photos up. He must have had that attached with it. I'll have to look
But
in Chelmsford News.
I'd say as part of Women's History Month, thank you all of my women cohorts on this committee because you guys are making history every day and I really appreciate and respect you and thank you.
Aw, so
Happy
sweet.
Women's History Month.
Yes. Cheers.
Happy Women's History
All
Month.
right. So in the
Or
interest
Women's
of time, we're gonna-
Herstory Month.
Herstory Month. That's right. All right. In the interest of time, because we are at 8:11, got a few more things to get through. I'm going to move on to Juneteenth, and topic is forming a working group because it took, like Sharice was saying, for Black History Month, it was a lot of work and it took a lot of time. So Juneteenth event is going to be no lesser task, and we should probably start thinking about who wants to be part of that working group and, you know, get that underway. I think that Susan, you were going to reach out to Brian to see if he had a playbook.
I am
that
going
we
to. I
follow-
didn't do that today.
Yeah, okay.
Tuesdays are tough, but I will do that. Maybe even tonight I'll send him an email or something.
Okay. We're going to need a number of volunteers. I think, you know, I know, I don't know about anyone else, but I just felt flat out the last couple of months between, you know, the Black History Month and, you know, other things that I'm involved in and work, and it's just got a little rough for a while there. So I just want to make sure that we have enough hands involved in this, and maybe we should consider reaching out to folks who might want to volunteer for Juneteenth and help us organize the event, as well as, you know, stage it and run it when June rolls around.
I
Thoughts?
can reach out to some high school kids too, I think, to see if they want to help out at all. You know, people that I know at that level, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we ask right on our Facebook page or somewhere else to let people know that we are planning something and we would love to have volunteers from the community? Simply just ask.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm
I
happy
mean,
to
if
do
the
that.
committee just asks for people to help, just ask people to help. Right?
What was that, Tricia?
I said, I organized the volunteers last year. I'll be happy to do that again. I'm not so great about the framework and getting artists and getting vendors and all of that stuff, but I can organize volunteers once I know the timing of everything and what the needs are, like getting the tables set up and the chairs
Well, I was
delivered.
thinking about volunteers that help us with the planning too and
Oh,
organizing, because I mean there were a lot of people who were involved in helping with Juneteenth. It wasn't just 3 people. You know, we had quite a few more people directly involved, and everyone had a task. And you know, we have fewer people now, and we should think about possibly recruiting people who might want to be involved in the planning and the organizing, as well as the execution on the day of the event.
maybe
Right.
we
There
could
might be
reach
someone
out.
in the community who would go to the vendors, who would go to some various Black-owned businesses and owners, restaurants, shops, what have you. And someone from the community, you don't have to be on the DEIC, someone from the community would go do that and reach out and ask people, because we're a small group right now. We can't
Can we
do
get the
it.
Black Student Union involved, Lauren?
Yeah, that's what I
That's
was
what we're
thinking. I think that would be a great idea. I know, Enshera and Michelle, I know a few students on it. So I think that's a wonderful idea. If I can meet with them and their advisor, I can certainly do that and follow up. That's what I mean. Kids can be amazing, every age kid, but
Yeah,
high school is
they created the whole Black Lives Matter vigil all by themselves.
right,
Right.
exactly. So let me reach
And
out
they
to
can bring
them.
a fresh spin on things as well. They have ideas of their own. Let's let them really
Yep.
develop and blossom.
Absolutely. I will reach out to them this week.
And is
Thank
it's the Black Student Union at the high school?
Yes, it's a newly formed organization this year, and I'm
Great.
sure they would probably love to be involved. And if we say, we have the town common, we're going to hold a day events and explain what we did last year, etc. I will reach out to them. Okay, guys.
Thank you.
Great.
That's perfect.
I would advise, though, if you're talking about reaching out to vendors and artists and things like that, because that takes really commitment and follow through and follow up, that maybe they partner within someone who has, kind of experience in that area, and just making sure they follow through.
They
And
may be only taking, like, say, we have to talk to them. They might want like one aspect, like speakers, performers, present. They're not going to obviously be in charge of the whole day. They are high school kids, and some of them are probably getting ready to college. Who knows? But we'll see what their involvement will be, and then obviously, I think we're going to have a subcommittee of this group for it. Yes.
yeah,
Oh
because
yeah,
we
we
had
have to
all
have.
hands
Yeah,
on
we need a
deck last
subcommittee.
year.
Yeah, I think it's all hands on
Yeah,
deck for
and
this. Yeah.
it's
And
important to emphasize we don't just need volunteers for the day of the event. We need volunteers to help plan the event.
right. Well, the day of
They
peace,
may bring, yeah.
the day of peace happened. And, so I did use Brian's outline on that. And I thought that was pretty successful too. So I think we
Yeah.
do have some thing like notify the fire department, notify, there's things that we know to do as well. But whoever wants
So,
to be on that.
Lauren, do you know where that outline is? Like where?
I probably have it I've got to go back and find, because I remember I made a separate Gmail for the day of peace. I've got to go find that Gmail. And I know Brian
I
has.
have it, Lauren.
Okay, good. It's probably on Google Drive somewhere. So I can send you all of that as well, or share
Great.
that.
Okay. And we can review it in the next meeting. We'll put it on the agenda.
Mhm.
I'm going to move on because we're at 8:17. We talked about Juneteenth. Let's move over to resident engagement. Okay, so as Sharice pointed out, we did promote the Black History Month on our Facebook page. And we had this flyer that I've never actually made flyers before, but this I have to pat myself on the back because I really like the way it came out. But
It was
what I
excellent.
wanted to show, yeah, and the library actually blew it up, right, and put it on an easel, and that was pretty cool. So this got a lot of airplay. So if we go back in time when I first created this Facebook page, we were getting like, 15 people reached, well, that's not even as far back, but if you go back really early on, it was like oh, I'm still not far. I'm still covering Black History Month here. But before Black History Month, we weren't getting a lot of, people who were seeing things. Just trying to scroll back here. But it was average, 17 people, 20 people. Here's a Watch It Wednesday that I put up there. I always create events for things, but not really getting a lot of notice. And as you can see here, 16 people reached, 16 people reached. But then as we move up here, get closer to here, I posted it once here, and then I started posting it on the Chelmsford Facebook pages. And you can see I posted it again up here. But what was really interesting was, and I finally figured this out. So if you look here, this is when I started posting for Black History Month. And every day during Black History Month, I posted a profile of a prominent Black artist, intellectual, whatever it is that was featured. These were profiles that we wrote last year. And they were really great. So we figured that we'd repurpose them and use them again. And so I just added a photo, an additional photo. For some reason, I didn't have 28 days though. I don't know why there weren't 28 profiles, but at the end I was kind of doing an ad lib, which is fine. But look what started happening. 70 people reached. And that was all organic. I didn't do anything differently. People just started going, oh, there's content every single day. 55 people reached there. 69 people reached here. 24 for this profile, 34, not too many, 17 there, 17 there. 90 people for, this post. 20 people here. Keep going. I'm trying to get to the post about our event. So scrolling up here. Okay, look at that.
Wow.
147 people. So the trick here is whenever we are promoting anything. So Rachel, I know you're posting on the Facebook page too. Share from here. If you are a member of any of the Chelmsford pages like Chelmsford News, 2.0, Chelmsford News, proper, Chelmsford Town Talk, they have like 5,000 members. So if you share from here, they're seeing this, and so then we get a better read on how many people are learning about what we're doing. So I would say anything that you want to promote, you post it here, and then you share it to those other groups from here, because that's when we got the 1,247 hits.
Chelmsford News has
And so
15,000 people.
Oh, okay, 15,000. So I am not a member of Chelmsford News. I'm a member of Chelmsford News 2.0. So I need to.
Is the big.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
Chelmsford News is the big one.
Yeah, I'm trying to get on Chelmsford News, and it keeps telling me to, I fill out the request, and then there's a second step, and it doesn't allow me to do the second step. And there's no way for me to reach the admin, so I don't know how I get on
And
Chelmsford
are
News.
you a member of Chelmsford News?
Let Sandy Rainey know. Sandy Rainey is one of the admins. I'll reach out to her and
I'm
have
sorry,
her.
you faded out.
I'm sorry. My internet stinks in this house. Sandy Rainey is one of the admins for Chelmsford News. I think she still is. I'll just reach out to her and have her add the Chelmsford Diversity Equity. Maybe it's because you're a group. Are we a group or a page? I don't know the difference.
We are a page.
Oh, okay.
But when I posted as, it doesn't allow me to post as a page. It makes me post as Carly Ream. So tell her I'm the person that's applied twice already that she keeps denying, but there's something wrong with her page. It won't let me do the second step. Thank you very much. So yeah, so this has been going really well. The only other thing I wanted to add, so Black History Month was great. As you can see, every single day I was in there posting something for everyone. So another insight that I learned, people love music. If I post something and it has music, like Sharice and Susan love this one, Louis Armstrong. I posted What a Wonderful World. They got to listen to Louis. It was awesome. It made everybody feel good, but it also drew attention to the our page. So like I said, every single day I'm going to try to put something in there. I posted this on Chelmsford News and Chelmsford Town Talk.
You're not
And I
sharing
can't tell you.
anymore, Carl.
Oh, I'm not. Oh, I'm sorry. I posted this item here. It was something that my husband sent me about the Beatles and the origin of the song Blackbird. And I posted it on Chelmsford News and Chelmsford Town Talk, and people are still liking it on both of them. And so it just draws more attention to our group when we can do stuff like that. So I thought that was an interesting observation. The last thing I wanted to point out is a old high school friend of my husband's. She's a professor at a university on Long Island. And every year for one term, she has her students do sort of an outreach. It's a public service thing. They focus on social media, and they select nonprofits who they will help and work with for that term on, building their brand and developing, getting more reach, reaching more people. So I submitted our committee, and unfortunately, she allows the students to choose. We didn't get chosen. She said there were a number of students who voted for us, so she's going to resubmit us for the next round, and hopefully we'll get a bunch of free college students who want to build our brand for us. And it may go beyond Facebook, it may go to Instagram, it may go to Twitter, but they're going to tell us what we need to do to really, blow this thing up. Okay, so that is all I have on. I'm sorry?
I said that's great. That's fun
Oh,
about
awesome.
getting some more volunteers.
Yeah, free college, young, smart minds that have fresh ideas about social media. I mean, my knowledge of social media is very, very limited. So any input that I can get from people who are actually studying this stuff is certainly appreciated. But if no one has any more questions about resident engagement, I'm going to move on.
I would like to join
Good.
that group.
Okay, I'm going to add you. I'll make you an
Yes.
administrator. Anybody who wants to be an admin and contribute to the Facebook page is more than welcome. I mean, I trust all of you and I trust your judgment. So, we try to keep it positive. We try to keep it, focused on what our mission is. And if you have something to contribute, or if you just want to email me with ideas about what you think we could do or post, just, please, Rachel is an admin. I'm going to add Susan as an admin, and anybody else who wants to be added, just let me know. Okay. Last bit for topics is questions for election debate. I only had one question that I wanted to discuss tonight. I don't know if anybody came to the meeting with prepared questions, or if we want to just table that and come back to the next meeting with the questions for election debate.
I have a question about flags.
I like that. Yes, you need to ask the question about flags. Yeah. But so how do you guys feel about it? Do you want to just take 2 weeks before we talk about questions? I mean, I think we should have a prepared list of questions. I know I only have one question that I had prepared, but if we're not ready to take down that list right now.
When do these debates happen?
Sometime.
Can't hear you, Tricia.
Still can't hear you.
Oh,
Tilt your head sideways.
I don't know what that.
No.
Anyway,
Oh,
I'm going
There
to
you are.
abstain from this conversation.
But are you allowed to tell us when debates happen?
I will, but I'm not going to submit any questions.
so as a committee, as a committee for the town, we're allowed to ask questions of people, political people, but we're not allowed to give our voice that we're taking a particular candidate. I'm a little, is that correct?
We should not be.
We're not, yeah.
on politics.
But we can
Ask
submit
questions.
questions to the various groups that might hold debates. as suggested questions. Is that what we can do?
Yes. Right now, there's only two that will take place. One is the Republican Town Committee debate. Don't have a date yet. The other that usually hosts is the League of Women Voters. I don't have a date yet. There is a voter registration night at the library on March 15th, the day before voter registration is due. And then I'm hoping that those students are going to do a debate this year. Lauren, can you reach out to, they did such a phenomenal job
They
last
did,
year.
and I haven't been able to really, Katie Sullivan has been the advisor this year. I really had to sort of take a step back because of my union work. And I can certainly reach out to it's the Civic Action Club. I can ask if they're going to do another debate.
They did a great job last year.
Yeah, they did.
I
They
think
did a
that was
wonderful
the
job.
best debate.
Yeah.
So when we know the dates, we can pass it on. Just submit your questions to.
What day is election day?
It's Tuesday, April 5th.
Okay.
Okay, so I think it's safe to say that we can come back at the next meeting, and if anybody has any questions that they would like to submit for election debates presented at that time.
What are the key positions that are up for election in this round? We can't hear you, Trisha.
Yeah, you're muted.
Yeah, Tricia, stand on your head.
Okay. There's a contested select board race. There's 3 people running for 2 seats.
Oh,
There is a contested school committee race, 3 people running for 2 seats.
really?
Yep. There's, let's see, any other contested races? No, not in the townwide seats. And there's only 2 town meeting precincts that are contested, precinct 2 and precinct 11. And most of the town meeting reps precincts need candidates. So the new precinct 1, that whole Scotty Hollow area, there's 7 vacancies.
Wow.
I know. New precinct 5 has 7 vacancies. So
That's-
anybody in those areas can write their name in and they're going to get in. So
Wow.
they just want to
Do you have
get.
to live in those precincts? That's
You
a
do.
silly question.
Yes, you do.
Yes, because I couldn't, my precinct was pretty full and I didn't want to like.
Yeah,
really
precinct
run
2 is
against it.
contested. So anyway, but just get anybody and everybody to just write their name in and get a couple of people because too many vacancies.
Are the names of the people that are running for the select board and school committee listed on the town website?
Right on
Okay.
the homepage, Lauren.
Thank you. I figured they were.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we are just at past time. So next meeting, virtual or in person?
Virtual.
I like in person.
Me too. How are our numbers? How are our COVID numbers? Kids half of them are still wearing masks, half of them are not because
In elementary school, almost none of the kids I saw coming out today had masks on.
Yeah, we still had high school kids with them.
The governor extended the remote participation until July. I'm going to milk that as long as I possibly can. So
Okay.
Yeah,
All
me too.
Well, then that's what we should do. What
it's
works
just
for
remote.
people.
it's easier for me to do remotely.
That is true. That is true.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to be remote next meeting every other Tuesday or third Tuesday of each month.
So to be clear, the motion that was made and accepted was at the last meeting was actually for it to be every other Tuesday.
Got it. All right. We
So
covered
that
ground
means
enough.
it's not always the first and third because March has 3 Mondays, which helps us to skip
Well, the
the
first and
first.
third is confusing. We'll just say every other
Tuesday. And
Right.
helps us to skip the first Tuesday, which is the town election day, and automatically bumps us to the following Tuesday. So it actually helps in that way that we will not have to just cancel a meeting on the first Tuesday of April because it won't be happening if we do every other Tuesday.
It's just easier to keep track of every other Tuesday.
Gotcha. So
Every
just so
other
people are
Tuesday.
clear, we already voted on that.
Every other Tuesday.
Yeah, it was
That's
on the
what it
agenda.
is.
Listen, it was on the agenda, so I had to bring it up. So, let's see, agenda planning for next meeting.
We can do that later.
Yeah, we can do that later. We'll talk to Latasha, we'll regroup. All right, so I'm going
Excuse
to
me,
ask
can we,
for a motion.
So
Yes.
I just have one question. People are going to be sending
Yeah.
ideas to Latasha. Do we have a way to kind of, how does it decided which of all the ideas get put on the agenda?
Well,
Latasha's the chair, so, right? Go ahead, Tricia.
yeah, she's the chair.
Yeah.
She gets to decide, but there's a lot of, I mean, regular items that we're always going to put our committee business. We're going to put our working group updates. We're going to put, you know, regular things, but you've already had a conversation with her about education, but
And it keeps getting bumped right off the agenda.
well,
Oh,
we need to talk about, I mean, again, maybe put a
Yeah.
proposal together, Susan, that we can all consider what you're looking for, because
Okay.
there's one
So,
obstacle
hey,
to
so
us moving forward.
one thing, I was just going to say, you know, because it says agenda planning for next meeting, say that you want the next meeting to have this item, education, on the agenda.
Okay, I will actually request
Put it
that
in the meeting
in this
notes.
minute.
Put it in a minute.
Yeah, put it in the meeting notes. Yep, minutes.
Gotcha.
And Tricia, you were going to say?
I don't know. I think I probably said it. I'm tired now.
I know what
I
you're
don't know
going to
what I
say.
said.
I know.
Yes, I
All
understand.
right, we are 3 minutes over, so I want to be, you know, kind. So I'm going to propose that we adjourn the meeting. Motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Rachel, even though
second
she's
it.
muted, said second.
Rachel.
All right.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Nick, guys.
Good job, everybody. Thank you.
Good
Good night.
night.
Thanks,
Thank
Carly.
you. Good
All
night.
right.
Bye.